We need to preserve the history of our city, the history of our buildings, what they represent, but at the same time, people want to move forward.
Hey, so welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Fifth Wall. I'm here in Venice, California at our favorite restaurant, Gecina. And I'm here with Méka Brunel, the CEO of Gecina, and Méka's here from Paris today, so welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm very pleased to be here.
So you've talked a lot about the workplace of the future and what that means to you and to Gecina specifically. Can you talk a bit about your vision for that?
You know what? We are facing three large megatrends which are transforming our lives all over the world. This is the reason we partnered up with Fifth Wall to help us understand the megatrends we are observing all over the world. One is urbanization and metropolization around the hub of public transportation and multi-usage areas where you can live, work, shop, and have leisure. The second one is the technological revolution. And the third one is the climate change. By 2050, the stats shows that more than 70% of the global population will live in cities. It's a sort of exodus. People are moving to city centers, close to their offices, close to the shopping areas, to leisure areas. They would like to get access to all kinds of services.
And so for a real estate owner like Gecina, what does that mean for how you need to think about real estate as fitting within that urban ecosystem?
I think that the reality is that we are facing the transformation of our buildings as just being a headquarters with the signature on the front door to a place to live.
And just to press on that a little bit, so, when I think about, US cities and I think about Paris, Paris is this kind of historically rich city. And when you walk around, and I've entered a number of your buildings, there's this kind of beautiful facades on the outside with all of this tradition and legacy to them. But yet on the inside, they're these hyper-modernized, extremely functional buildings. How do you think about that dichotomy as a real estate owner and kind of preserving that balance?
Well, actually, this is a real challenge, but this is the most exciting, part of our business, because we need to preserve the history of our city, the history of our buildings, what they represent, but at the same time, people want to move forward. We are definitely dedicated to preserve environment, and that's why we have four important pillars in terms of environmental sustainability: circular economy, carbon neutral, biodiversity, and the wellness for our end users.
And I've heard this term circular economy a lot, and can you contextualize what does that mean for the real estate industry?
One of the main example of the way we have done circular economy, and we apply that to one of our buildings, which is the former headquarters of the Peugeot car makers, is the new buildings, 33,000 square meters, 330,000 square feet, which is going to be completely refitted out into a new building named Life. So it means that we save 284 kilotons of carbon, which is the equivalent of 260 almost back and forth flight to New York.
260 round trip flights,
Yeah.
the carbon impact of that back and forth
Absolutely.
between Paris and New York.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is really measurable, and this gives us a lot of, courage to continue that in the rest of our office transformation in Paris.
To what extent does this urbanization, this densification of cities, to what extent does that put even more pressure on the urban infrastructure and the real estate asset infrastructure to be even more carbon neutral because of all the people that are frankly using assets today?
Our goal is to become carbon neutral by 2050. You
Wow.
need to have ambitious goals, otherwise you will never reach them. And we are doing a lot on that sector. By the way, this is about our planet. There is no planet B. And the world is not but one country.
I like the way you put that. There's no planet B. And, climate change is this popular area of focus right now. And I don't think it's often thought of as a responsibility of the real estate industry specifically. And I know Europe has also been ahead of the United States in taking on that responsibility.
This is connected to the trends we are observing. One is the technological revolution. Many years ago, nobody would go on the real estate industry to the CES in Las Vegas. We wouldn't be interested because we were just, managing our buildings. Today, we are really interested because we would like to know how this technology will be improving the quality of our buildings and the way we are managing it, which are helping us to reduce the amount of carbon we are emitting, to reduce the amount of water we are using, to expand the agriculture in our buildings. We can use, a lot of parking spaces which are useless. For instance, in Paris, you cannot drive in Paris anymore.
Right.
You can use it as a urban farm and continue to use it.
As an urban farm?
Yes.
Wow.
You can plant, salad, fruits, vegetables, and use it, and whether use it for the building itself, for the catering, or to sell it outside. And
so just to be clear, you're actually growing in Paris, in your buildings, you're actually growing produce.
Sure. And this is something we are working on for many, many years, but this is becoming, we are changing, a level and becoming much more industrialized in the way we are thinking it.
It almost sounds like what you're saying is the buildings, these kind of concrete assets that are in the middle of our environment, they need to be integrated into the ecological fabric. And that means farming, that means how people are engaging with them, that means circular economy around water and resources, that means reusing these historical assets. They're really grand vision.
Well, this is not only mine. I'm glad to see that a lot of people have the same view. And if we want to leave a beautiful planet for our grandchildren, definitely we need to work on that. And if you want to have the capacity to have those metropolitan cities to become more welcoming and more inclusive, we definitely need to work on that hard.
Well, Méka, thank you so much for talking with me about this. What I'm distilling from our conversation is really two things. One, we have a lot to do. There's a lot of work that's in front of us and incumbent on real estate owners to do to accept their responsibility around climate change. And two, we have a lot to learn. And it sounds like there's a lot that we can learn in particular from Gecina's approach and how you've taken on responsibility for climate change.
Thank you also for having me, and we need to work much more together.
Yeah, we absolutely do. So if you want to learn more about Fifth Wall, you can visit us on our website at fifthwall.com. And so thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Beyond the Fifth Wall.